of traditional parties. And the second topic that we shall be talking about today, it is based on civil society organization. Civil society organization, how transparent are they as far as the 2025 presidential election period is concerned in Cameroon? Cameroonians will be called to the polls. Hopefully by October there will be an election of the presidential election, and also by May voting registration may end. So those of you who are yet to register, please do where to register, because when electors are called or when the vacancy is officially declared, registration for Elecam will officially end. So if you are still hoping to register, you can go at the different Elecam offices, or you can get to some of us who, through a message, we can tell you where and how you can get your voting card. And there are also some people who contacted us from an area called Back Mountain and asking how they can get to register. We also would explain to you how you can get to register. But today's edition, we are looking at those two topics about the independent presidential candidate. We want to welcome you, and you can follow us on our Facebook page, BT Media Group Facebook page. You can follow up there, and we shall be also introducing to you our guest with whom we are going to have a 1 hour 30-minute discussion as far as that is concerned. In the studio, we are joined by a cream of panelists who are here with us. Some are yet on their way. In the studio, we have the president of the new party, a new party that has just been formed in Cameroon. He says that there is time for a new breed of politicians that can be able to do things, and do things not just the way the traditional politicians have been doing it, but things that are very pragmatic. It is a true democratic party. He's someone also that has been fighting for the rights of the vulnerable and has defended those who are unjustly incarcerated, using his own personal resources to ensure that these people have justice. He has always been the voice of the voiceless when it comes to the fight against injustice. When the bar exam was being delayed to be called, he actually sued the Minister of State, the Minister of the Minister of Justice, and actually requested that the bar exam be called, and that it is the constitutional right of Cameroonians seeking to become lawyers to actually write the bar. And he has not stopped his fight against the site of injustice in Cameroon. Barrister Anya Lewis, all the way from the town of legendary hospitality, the president and the founder of the True Democratic Party. Happy Sunday, and thanks for joining us.
Happy Sunday to you too, Mr. Javis. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me here. It's always a pleasure to be live on the House of Commons. Greetings to my fellow panelists. Nice to meet you, sir. Greetings to all the televiewers in the house. Thank you, people, for taking time to watch this program, as we shall be talking on this very sensitive issue that relates to the presidential elections, given the fact that this year is very pregnant in Cameroon. We have to have a president. We don't know how it will look like, but we are hoping October will tell us. Thank you, Mr. Javis.
And thank you very much. Also in the studio, we are joined by Solomon, who is an active leader when it comes to the civil society, and someone that also has been contributing enormously to nation building and looking at the fact that things should be done, not just done, but should be done following the rule of law and also the respect of the dignity of the human person. He has also done a lot when it comes to bringing up young Cameroonians to see how they can follow up with the democratic process, and he strongly believes that we can, as a people, actively take part in the democratic process. And he holds that if we don't take part actively in the democratic process, then we are allowing the leaders to become oligarchs who are not going to fight for us. He is the president and the founder of LTTG, which is also a non-governmental organization, which recently had a training session in Boya, and they were there in Boya where they brought in hundreds of young men and women to see how they can empower them to be able to have good system or good skills where they can transform their society without being deviant in our community. He is Solomon Eno. Thanks for joining us all the way from the United States of America. Happy Sunday, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Tah Javis. I should say that this has been long coming. You've come far, and congratulations for the work that you're doing. To our televiewers, I'm excited to be here. To the new president, thank you for sacrificing. Thank you for sacrificing. I mean, again, having a political party is not easy, and bringing people together is not easy. To our viewers, it's a pleasure to be here. It's the first time in the studio with my friend and brother, Tah Javis, so I'm really, really excited for us to talk about the different things we will be talking about today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. These are the panelists. We await also the arrival of the Popular Actions Party Secretary General Tah Javis, who will be here. Also, Barrister Dixon, who is also a member of the civil society, who will be here with us. And just to let you know that these are the gentlemen with whom we are going to have a right. The first topic we are going to look at, it is the 2025 presidential election, the independent candidates. We've had declarations upon declarations, aspirants, let me use the word aspirant, because at the level they are still aspirants who are to get into the Cameroon political fair for the 2025 presidential election. What are their prospects? Can they break through the stronghold of traditional party? Or do we need brand new individuals with different ideas that will do things, or different parties that will do things from the perspective of the common man? When you move from every part of Cameroon, those who seemingly are speaking with one voice want a coalition. But however, the traditional parties have stayed true to their rectorate that they will go solo. But now can independent candidates pull the trigger? Barrister Anya Lewis, you are with us and you have been observing the political landscape. And this pushed you to come up with your party, the True Democratic Party. When you look at this topic for today, let us look at the independent aspirants. Can they break through?
Well, what I will say first is that nothing is impossible under the sun. But however, it will be good for the televiewers to first understand who is an independent candidate in Cameroon. Independent candidates are regulated by Section 121 of the Electoral Code, which states that an independent candidate is someone who is not affiliated with any political party, or a candidate who is being nominated by a political party but is not represented at the level of parliament, meaning the Senate, the National Assembly, regional councils, and at the level of municipal councils. Now, you see the task that is ahead of our independent candidates looking at the political structure in Cameroon is more cumbersome, because one, the law gives them very strict conditions and somehow difficult task to accomplish in order for them to be validated. You have first, in order to stand as an independent candidate, presidential candidate in Cameroon, you must first of all secure, you must have with you in your pocket 300 signatures from dignitaries in Cameroon. And the law specifies clearly the dignitaries. It must be either senators, parliamentarians, members of trade chamber, either regional councillors or municipal councillors, and we go further, we have first class chiefs. So now you see, if you look at the political space in Cameroon, you see that the CPDM, the truth is bitter but it must be spoken, they have an overwhelming majority in all the state structures, starting from the Senate, Parliament, regional councils, coming down to municipal councillors. Now you ask yourself the question, we have seen the listed dignitaries who can give such signatures. And when we look at them in Cameroon, we see that majority of them, they are of the ruling party. So are we sure, what extra effort can the independent presidential candidates do to secure signatures from such persons? Not far ago, we saw how first-class chiefs and other chiefs in Cameroon endorsed President Paul Biya to stand as the presidential candidate. We saw that. So you see that indirectly, first-class chiefs, it will be difficult for the independent candidates to get signatures from the first-class chiefs, because they have already moved towards the direction of the President of the Republic. We come now to at the level of the Senate. The CPDM party has majority senators, parliamentarians. They have majority parliamentarians. Regional councillors, they have majority. Municipal councillors. Although at the level of the trade chambers, well, we don't really know, but it will really be difficult. And the law specifies further, the independent candidates are supposed to have at least 30 signatures per region, from a region, 30. So you see that it's a very cumbersome task. I think I can liken the situation to Matthew 19 verse 24 in the Bible, which says that it will be easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Of course, but however, like I said it, nothing is impossible under the sun. Everything is impossible, and miracles still do happen. It's left with the independent candidates. When a man is convinced that he can achieve something, you can only present the advantages and the disadvantages to the person. But at the end of the day, he's the one who wears the shoes. He knows how he's going to sail through. So they best know what they will do to secure the signatures. But it's a very daunting task, Mr. Javis. Very daunting task. I think for now, maybe we can move to other panelists.
You have to go scriptural.
Yeah, of course, of course. You know, we have to always talk and relate things to the Bible because we are Christians.
Which means that your party is having a fabric of spirituality, the True Democratic Party.
It's very important, of course. We don't just do things ordinarily. As Christians, we must tap from the Supreme Book, which is the Bible.
Okay.
Because if we tap from the Supreme Book, we'll reason extraordinarily and we do things extraordinarily according to the ways of Jesus Christ.
Okay. Mano, you have been looking at the political landscape in Cameroon. You have actually been involved. And now, when you look at the aspirant, the independent aspirant, can they break through the stronghold of traditional parties? You just left the village and you have been around. What is their prospect?
So, first of all, who are the candidates? We're a few months to the elections.
Yeah, I know of one Dr. Barrister Asung Michael.
Yes.
He's very ambitious.
Of course, you know because now you're a politician.
I know. Yeah, I'm always current. Right. Politics aside,
of course,
so
when I say who, it doesn't mean that I don't know about him.
Yes.
What I mean to say is that who knows him? You're not the one to elect him.
Of course.
Right? You're not the one to elect him. I'm not the one to elect him. I know him. I know Dr. Michael. What I'm saying is we're a few months to the elections.
Yeah, very few months.
Very few months to the elections. Let's be realistic. Who are they? Okay. All right. So I think right now there are three of them. Yeah. You can only call one.
Yeah, I think I know Dr. Asung Michael.
You have Madame Carol.
Right, you have Madame Carol and I guess somebody
Jacob.
else. The point that I'm trying to make is this. There is a principle in communication that he who is best known is better than he who performs the best.
Yeah, you have a point there.
He who is best known is better than he who performs the best. And whether we like it or not, in the game of politics, popularity is important. I mean, we hope that principle is, but for people to know principle, they have to know you first.
Yeah,
for people to know,
important.
Right? People need to know you first before we start talking about how your principles, your values, okay? And few months to the election, I think this question is completely absurd for me. That you're asking me if these people will break through what? With what resources, with what popularity, with who? Because it's a few months again, as I said. I've been in Cameroon now for over a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I've not heard anything. I've not seen anything. I must be really blind, deaf, or dumb, because there's something going on.
You've been to the village.
And I've been to the village, and I've from Yaoundé to Douala, from Douala to Boya to the village, back to Boya. Now I'm now in Douala. I'm going to go to Yaoundé. The question is, are these men really serious? Now, I mean, again, it's divided. Is this what Cameroonians really deserve in terms of the people who want to represent them? Okay. The last election was 2018. And somehow we know of the independent candidates a few months of the election. This lack of seriousness, is it what Cameroonians really deserve, or these men who call themselves politicians really have no regard for Cameroonians? It's what we need to be talking about. In this generation and at this time, a few months of the election, we're still asking questions like this. We're not talking about principles, values, what people really bring to the table. We're talking about whether they'll break through what political system. A political system that you and I can say conveniently doesn't even exist. Okay? So for a political system to exist, politicians that are part of the political system has to be serious and have to be existent. So that's what I want to say, and I guess my answer to that, if you want a straight answer for me, is that no, they will not. I am a straight shooter. I don't like beating around the bush, and I don't play politics. No, they will not. And if there is any hope at all, there should be a certain level of seriousness that is demonstrated by these men and women who wants to take the leadership of this country. Politicians should take Cameroonians a little bit more seriously. For Christ's sakes, it's either they believe that Cameroonians don't deserve serious men to lead them, or apparently maybe Cameroonians don't even deserve men to lead them.
Now, I stay with you in this issue about this. Now, when you look at what is your view as far as this election, this upcoming election is concerned, with the participation of the people? Now, we had an election in 2018. We had 3.7 million or so that voted, of a population of about 30 million or so. Now, is that not and yet we have this same population blaming. Oh, the votes are bad. Oh, this is that. But the same people expect miracle.
So, Javis, I want to look straight to the camera and say this to Cameroonians who are watching us. Everywhere in the world where the populace are not involved in politics, politicians become delinquent. There are two ways to hold politicians accountable. Number one is that the populace are directly involved in politics. Javis, since I came to Cameroon, I've been engaging people in different taxis and different joints, wherever I go to eat, in the village, wherever. Do you have a voter's ID? No. Are you going to vote? I don't believe in voting. Who are you voting for? I don't know. What party do you support? I don't know.
That's very true. That's very
right.
true.
So, I mean, again, when we talk about an election that is coming up in a few months, what are we talking about? What election are you talking about? 2018, 3.7 million people voted. That is not even the population of Douala.
Douala is more than 5.6 million.
With everything that is happening now, how many people? I mean, we are a few months. I've not seen people lining up to vote, but this is what I have to tell Cameroonians. If you want roads and schools, if you want hospitals, if you want electricity, you have to vote. You have to engage in vote. There's no other way. I promise you, angels are not going to come fix this country. Politicians have to do it, and the way to hold politicians accountable is by engaging in the political process. There is no other way. There's just no other way. I know Cameroonians are waiting for some angel, some miracle person to come and change the nation. It's not going to happen. And I hope we have learned that lesson. There's no other way to hold politicians accountable and make sure that they're serving the people other than the populace themselves demanding for those things. And the way to demand for it is to what? Register and vote. If you have not done it, please don't blame any politician for not having roads and the trash engulfing cities. Don't blame them, because you are saying that you approve what they are doing because by not engaging in the process.
Every 10 Cameroonian that you move to the street and talk to that, say, oh, we need change. Yeah. About 8 don't have voters' cards.
Yeah.
The 2 probably may have.
Yes.
Of the 2, 1 has never voted in any recent election.
Yes.
Then how do we reconcile the fact that they want change?
No, but they don't want change. There's a difference between dreaming about change and actually wanting change. Tah Javis, I am in personal development and leadership, right? When I speak to people on a daily basis, young people, which is my interest, I develop people in personal leadership and all of that. When I speak to people, I know, I can see the men. It's one thing to say, oh, Mr. Solomon, I want to meet you, I want to talk to you, I want to change, I want to do better, I want to improve my life, right? But there's another thing, there's a certain level of commitment that I can see in an individual by their engagement, by the things that they're doing that they want to. Cameroonians love President Paul Biya and the existing government. If they don't love what they are doing, they should go out there, get registered, and vote them out of office. That's what I have to say, Javis.
Okay, we'll be coming back to you. Let me briefly, before coming to Ginny, when we look at this, you are now a president of a political party. Do you agree with what he's talking about? Because you interact with people every day. Do you still have the same feelings that Cameroonians are not ready for change in terms of participation?
I think the level of personal participation of Cameroonians in the affairs of politics in the country is really low. I think out of 100%, not up to 20%, honestly. The issues that he raised, you meet most Cameroonians, they tell you they don't even want to hear about politics. They are not interested. They don't have voters' card. They don't care about anything that has to do with politics. They tell you, well, the ruling party, they have it all, no need for us to engage. But that is being wrong. Because there's one thing in life, whether you like it or not, is the politics on ground that determines how the country will develop, progress, and evolve. So now, when it comes to criticizing and blaming the government, Cameroonians, I think they will take the highest score. That one is very true.
Oh, this party is corrupt. Oh, yes. This other one is distraction. Oh, this one is this. This one is this. Then how do you solve it?
Of course. When you look at Cameroon, all African countries, see that Cameroonians criticize a lot. But you ask them, Are you registered in any political party? Do you belong to any political party? Have you voted before? Are you even following current affairs? Are you investigating the budgets of the council, the government at the national level, regional level, even right to your village? They don't care. But they expect that change will be. So permit me use this opportunity to appeal to all Cameroonians. The only way change can come about is when Cameroonians, they move rapidly, because it's an urgent matter. They have to get registered at Elecam, because that's the most important thing. It makes no sense to criticize. You wait until when it's time to go and vote. That's when you realize that you don't have a voter's card. That would be like political suicide, because it's the vote that determines the leader of the country. And it's rightly said, we know we are law-abiding people. It's always good to follow the law. We see that historically, Cameroonians have been voting for President Paul Biya. That's what the Constitutional Council has been saying. Legally, if Cameroonians want any other person to lead the country, it's the ballot box that will determine it.
And the bigger the number.
Of course. Not word of mouth. You cannot sit in your house and say that you don't want President Paul Biya, but you don't want to go and vote.
But how do we understand that it's just 3.70 million that vote? Whereas the population, as Mr. Solomon said, the population of Douala is more than 5 point something million, which means that it's just a fraction of Douala that picked the entire, if we go by that mathematical analogy, means that it's just a fraction, half of the population of Douala that determined the total
the leader of the country. That's a big problem in Cameroon. How come only 3 point something million will determine the shape of a country? It's not proper. At least we should have half of the population of Cameroon to vote for the leader. It's not okay at all. How can only above 3 million? You see that the voter participation is very low. And as the president of the national political party, when I go on ground talking to citizens, trying to convince them to engage in politics, they tell you they are not interested. Some may even beat you if you are not careful. It's the reality on the ground. We are on ground talking politics on ground. It's not on air or making noise.
That's how they beat you, eh?
Of course. They come off here. No, disturb me. It's the reality. Even those in the CPCM will tell you that that's part of the reality on ground. The only way for change to come about is for Cameroonians to engage in politics. Then look at something. If above 3 million they vote for the president, they ask themselves the questions. How many people normally vote for our mayors, our parliamentarians, and our senators?
Very few, eh?
Yeah, if you want to calculate it based on that.
Based on that statistics.
So you see that it's a serious problem. And one issue I've noticed doing politics on the ground is that Cameroonians see politics only at the national level, at the level of the president. They forget that it's the mayor who shapes the town. Like you see the way Boya is, Douala, Yaoundé. There is one thing that is common in all these places. They are dirty.
And Bamenda.
It's not the president's job to get it done. It's the mayor.
Because you have just raised an issue. And the question I've always been asking, I'll come to Ginny, but the issue is, this is it. You have the regional councillors.
That's right.
Who still have a budget in the city.
Yes.
You have the city mayors.
That's right.
Who have budgets to develop that same city.
Very right.
And for the northern and southwest region, you have reconstruction.
Play plan.
Who still have budget to develop that city? You have the Ministry of Town Planning and Urban Development. Who have budget to develop that city? You have the Ministry of Public Works. Who have budget to, at the end of the day, who is doing what?
That's where you see that another serious problem that Cameroon is facing is checks and balances, accountability. Every year they vote budget, huge sums of money for projects. But if you go on the field, you will not see those projects. So the question now is, where has the money gone to? It comes now to our anti-corruption commission. You see that we have a very weak anti-corruption commission in this country. The government has to make the anti-corruption commission in this Cameroon to be strong, autonomous, and to fight to see that all this monies that have been allocated for projects, either the projects are being executed, or those who have misappropriated money or whatsoever, they take them before the justice and they face the law. That's the only way Cameroon can progress. Because year in, year out, budgets are allocated, but you don't see projects on the field. The next year, they still have to sign another budget. You will not see nothing on the field, but everything is going normally. Where is the money in this country going to?
That's why the true democratic party is there.
Of course, that's why we call it true democracy. Because true democracy has to do with accountability, checks and balances and all those things.
Okay, well, Ginny Elvis is the Secretary General of the Popular Actions Party. He's the Secretary General of the Popular Action Party, and he is here with us, and of Mr. Jan Dennis Tabe, one of the parties that have actually endorsed Barrister Akeremuna for the 2025 presidential election. Their parties had it as a belief that it is only a political coalition that can actually do the magic, and that's why they decided to push for a coalition with Barrister Akeremuna and some other political parties. Happy Sunday, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for receiving me here, Javis, and I must apologize to you and your viewers for the lateness. I was hooked up by other things. A special good afternoon to all my co-panelists. It's a pleasure being here.
Okay, now when we look at the independent candidates, do you see possibilities that they can break through the stronghold of parties, of traditional parties? The other panelists say they don't. Maybe you have a different okay, Solomon. Yes, yeah, you say it's difficult.
It's very difficult.
That is possible.
Yeah. Nothing is possible.
Yeah. He's a politician.
But Solomon said he doesn't.
Yeah. I'm a leadership consultant. I'm not a politician.
Okay, we'll carry that. Yes,
yeah.
You.
Well, I would say it is a pretty difficult game for independent candidates. Not difficult because they are independent candidates, but difficult because the political terrain in Cameroon is what we all know. You see, so somebody can be independent and he has a following. Someone can be independent and he has a strategy that it takes to be able to get there. But the problem is that when we look at our political terrain as a whole, be you independent or the traditional political parties as you put it, you realize that it is a difficult political terrain. So if you were to ask my opinion personally, I would rather think that in 2025 we are rather supposed to, as Cameroonians, continue to work towards coming together as a body to form a coalition and face the people face to us, rather than go in dispersed ranks. Because when we go in dispersed ranks, the truth is that we are going to divide the votes. You see, we are going to reduce the votes, divide them per the different candidates that are there, and so at the end of the day, it gives room for those who have been there for 43 years to come out and tell the world that we won again because perhaps the others did not prepare properly. That's what. So what I'm saying here in reality is that as independent candidates, it is their choice, it is their right of place to want to run as independent candidates, but for them to say ask if they can break the strongholds of those traditional political parties, I say it is a pretty difficult game. Because one thing you also realize is that in Cameroon, Cameroonians function in such a way that those who have been into a certain political party, that use the word tradition, they traditionally believe in that political party. For you to uproot them from that belief to now tend to follow an independent person, it becomes a serious problem. Secondly, when you also look at it critically, you realize that some of the independent candidates that we've seen so far are people, I'm afraid to say from my own reading and judgment, they are known perhaps in particular circumscriptions, but not necessarily nationally. So it is not because maybe you are well known in, let me say, Yaoudouala 5 or maybe even the littoral, that you now think that it suffices for you to now run as a candidate for the presidency. Because if we were talking about local elections here, we will understand that good. If you are known in a particular area, you can run in, and those that can vote either for their MP, you can become the Lord Mayor or something of the sort. But when we talk about presidential, it's national. You need to have the backing nationally to be able to go in. Even if all the voters in a particular region or some regions vote for you and others do not, your chances of going through are still very, very slim. But now, overall, I still say that I think 2025 we need to, as Cameroonians, be canvassing for the idea of candidates coming together. But then, Mr. Tah Javis, your audience should not get me wrong. I am not also here saying that unless there is a coalition, we cannot win an election. Because the idea of a coalition too is somehow mostly propagated by those face to us, to want to legitimize their victory or their fraud when the time comes, to say no, it is because they never came together, that's why we have won. No, I have not said that without a coalition someone cannot win an election, but I'm saying it will be excessively difficult. So it is even necessary we come together, because when we talk about election, especially presidential, it's a game of numbers, and the more we come together, the more we step our chances of having the numbers that it takes to be able to ensure that the candidate we all put forth moves into it to become October 2025.
Engineer Dixon, known in this platform as a political prophet. I must say that because there have been things that he has said and that have come to pass that many have called, baptized him to be a prophet. Happy Sunday, thanks for joining us.
Happy Sunday, Mr. Javis, and happy Sunday, our televiewers. Happy Sunday, fellow co-panelists. It's a rare privilege once more for us to share this rostrum and deliberate on issues with respect to presidential election. Maybe if I may dive and give my contribution at once, I think that the independent candidates have a chance if the electoral code is edited. Being an amended, yeah. Thank you for the legal balance. The fact that campaign, you can do campaign only 16 days, I think 16 or how many days to presidential election, already handicaps independent candidates. They will not be able, they will need a lot to stand a chance with the traditional parties, as we know. The other party, I don't want to call any party name here, with the other traditional parties, because these other traditional parties have been meeting before. Their militants have been meeting before now. They have been strategizing, and coming in as an independent candidate, I think they can stand a chance if the amendment of the electoral code is possible. But for 2025, the only way they can stand a chance is letting the Cameroonian people know exactly what they stand for, and do they have the time to get that through? That is a question we should be answering now. Do they have the time to get that through, and resources as well? If we cannot answer that, then I think it will be very difficult for them. Not impossible, but I repeat, very difficult, because I think last time I said here, Cameroonians should mature to the level that we vote for people, not for emotion. We don't vote emotionally, but what these people stand for with respect to the nation, economics, development, advancement, social landscape, sociocultural, the future of our children's children. I think that should be the driving force behind our casting of the vote, not whether this man is a militant, a candidate from the west or a candidate from the center. That should not be our driving force, but who can bring Cameroon together and form a formidable unit that will face the global challenge that we have now, economically, educationally, health-wise, and all. I think that should be our key watch for all the candidates, be it independent. I'm speaking as a civil society person, a common man, not a politician. Be it the independent candidates, be it the traditional party candidates that we have, and be it the ruling party. That is, we should be looking at it carefully. And I think we are at a very crossroad. This year is not like the other years. Cameroonians are so aware of election now. I think the social media space has a lot to do with this. The electoral list has gone up. List of registered voters have gone up tremendously from what we had in the previous presidential election. We can see the margin very wide, with an increment of about 4 to 5 million. That tells us alone that Cameroonians are up, and we should be very watchful. I believe that this presidential election will not be business as usual. That I can tell.
No, when you say business as usual, I talk about the voting.
I'm talking about the voting.
Yes,
no,
yes.
I'm not talking about what the other people are saying. I mean, voting turnout is not business as usual.
It's always good to just clarify the nuance. You are a communication consultant and a political strategist. If you are to advise these politicians, because here in the studio we have just two of you who are not political. Mr. Gini is the Secretary General of PAP, and of course you have the founding president of the Democratic Party, new party that has registered in Cameroon legal. What would the strategy be? Advising who? The independent candidates? Politicians, as far as the election is concerned.
Right, it will be a waste of time. They're not serious. It will be a complete waste of my time. You know, Javis, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it well. If I don't engage in projects that I don't succeed in. Cameroonian politicians engage in what I call political delinquency. They're delinquent to the Cameroonian people. I don't know whether it is because they feel the Cameroonian people deserve it, or it's just a nonchalance that comes with politics. I have no idea what it is. Even if now we're talking about independent candidates, let's talk about the parties that exist.
Yeah.
The independent parties that exist. They call themselves opposition parties. Look at what happened in Senegal. Okay, 2 people literally came together and won an election. Because again, when you talk about people being able to win an election in Cameroon, the political system is corrupt, the electoral code is bad. I just think Cameroonian politicians, especially the opposition, they have a contempt for the Cameroonian people. The lack of seriousness. The last election was 2018, for Christ's sakes. And somehow, there are these people who say they are politicians. You go to my village, nobody knows these names you're calling. They don't know them. And my village is right here close to Nguti. Can we talk about that choir a little bit? Like, seriously, like, take people seriously. People are suffering. If you say you are a politician and you're going to lead this nation, take the people seriously. I will not advise any opposition political party. I have to say it will be a complete waste of my time. We had do you know that when Peter Obi lost election in Nigeria, Peter Obi has not stopped being political in Nigeria? There's from one event to another. If you follow him, from the day he lost, he has engaged in politics, in informing the people, communicating, engaging the people and everything.
The same strategy Trump used.
The same strategy Trump used. He never stopped talking. Never stopped. We see Cameroonian politicians only a few months with the elections. Now everybody is an independent candidate. People are creating parties back and forth.
They don't have resources.
No. Okay, please. The reason why they don't have resources,
people don't believe in them.
I created an organization 4 months ago.
Okay.
All right. And we did a conference yesterday in Boya. In the space of I have about 81 people who are part of the organization I started. In the space of 2 weeks, we raised almost £1 million. Please, let's stop with the resources thing. If you have a mission, you are able to describe what you want to do, and people see the dedication, the conviction, and even the drive you have towards you want to do, resources will come. I have seen it. I have seen it. So let's stop this excuses. The electoral code is the people. Let's stop this political delinquency engaged by opposition political parties. In fact, they are not opposition political parties. I think they are being used by the government. Let's just say this. Let's stop this whitewashing.
No, you cannot.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's my opinion, and let me hold it.
And its opinion might not be
if you want to, yes, it might not be true. All I'm saying is this: if you want to do something, do it, and stop looking for every excuse in the books.
Well, now the excuse is that
Jumai Faye and Osman Sanko won an election in Senegal. The electoral code in Senegal is better than that of Cameroon. How did they win? The president, the current president, the DRC president,
Felix Tshisekedi.
Yes, he took a Constant Matumba to be his minister. This is people who are serious, and somehow Cameroonian politicians, opposition leaders cannot come together. It's something that we have to beg and negotiate. The existing CPDM is very strong in Cameroon.
very strong.
Okay, so this back and forth nonsense of trying to beg people to be serious with. If we are going to beg the main opposition parties in Cameroon, we're going to beg them to form a coalition. All of these people should be kicked out of the political scene. They're not serious.
So you're talking about the new breed.
I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is that Cameroonian people are suffering too much. If we will say that, by the way, for us to have people playing ping pong games with them. Okay? And also now, there are people who are begging Cameroonians to vote. Look, I'm looking at the camera right now. If you like, don't vote. I've been in Boya now for, I think, 3-4 days. Out of the 4 days, we had like 1 day, and it came, I think, a few hours. So if that is not enough pain for you, fine. The cities are engulfed by trash. If that's not bad enough for you, that's fine. Don't vote. Stay at home. Don't do nothing. If there's no water, you have to struggle, walk miles to go get water. And okay, now we're doing for rush anyway. So don't vote. You buy your own solar thing, so you don't need electricity. Don't vote. Stay at home and don't vote. Yes.
How will you do the taxes now?
I don't want to talk about that. That's another thing. Don't vote. Stay at home. Don't get. I mean, because we have money that is coming from abroad and taking care of people and all of that. But this is what I'm saying to angels are not going to face Cameroon. There are two things involved here. Number one, Cameroonians have to. There's nothing that happens in a country without politics.
Nothing. The law, the economy, anything, everything comes down. You know, I had this idea, which is anyway naive, that everything rises and falls with leadership. Now, everything rises and falls with the politics of a country. Of course. Everything.
Because you need a political decision to go to church. If there's instability, you cannot go to church. Yeah?
No, but you can't do nothing without politics. And so Cameroonians saying that they are not interested in politics means that they like the existing society. So if you like what is going on in Cameroon right now, don't vote. Don't complain. In fact, I don't want to hear you say anything if you don't have a voter's card. Don't say nothing. Don't complain about nothing. Don't talk about nothing. No, I'm not interested in it. But if you say there are no roads, who are responsible for constructing roads? The leaders. And if they are not constructing roads, they are abusing you. Guess what? Vote them out. So this is not a negotiation. Let's have this serious conversation for once and stop this backpedaling.
Stop begging.
I'm not again. I mean, politicians can beg, but I don't beg, right? You know, no, it's not about the fact that I don't have anything to lose. It's the fact that even when I'm doing personal development and consulting with people politically, I say what I think and I demand for people to make progress. And if you're not making progress, we kick you out. It's as simple as that. So please get the politicians to whitewash things. I don't whitewash things.
Barrister, I don't know. You seems to probably had a reaction to that. Maybe
normally you can't beg people to go and vote. I don't think that's really reasonable to beg people to go and vote. We can convince them to go and vote, try to lobby them, show them the reasons, put them the benefits of voting. But you cannot beg people to go and vote. And you know, one problem with Cameroonians is that they feel like manna will come from heaven. Manna no longer falls. It's the ballot box that will determine the leadership in place. And if you don't go out to vote, how will you get the kind of leader you so desire? It's very impossible. Coming down to the issue of the independent candidates, you see the stronghold, the problems that they have is a daunting task, because I think we should look at it historically. The United States of America has had only one independent candidate who won as president, George Washington. And that was their first president. He did not win the popular vote. He is the electoral college that voted for him, and he became the president. The United States of America, the most democratic nation on earth, has had only one independent candidate. Then now you come to Africa, you see that President Boni Yaye of Benin, he won as an independent candidate. President Amadou Toumani Touré of Mali, he won as an independent candidate. And President Marc Ravalomanana of Madagascar, he won as an independent candidate also. In Cameroon, we have never had that, even though we have had only just two presidents. You see that it's really a daunting task. But I cannot subscribe to say that the independent candidates, nothing can happen. Yes, because as human beings, you can never reason only from one perspective. We are not wearing their shoes. Anything can happen. But when it happens now, you change your position.
But okay, let's look at reality. You say nothing, but let's look at reality. We have about 52,000 polling centers.
Yes.
Of that, can these independents
that's where
actually have a representative?
That's where a serious problem now shows up. It's not only about voting. You have to have a representative at the polling stations. You must have a representative. The representative will not only supervise it, you have to protect it. At the end of the voting, they have to sign the PV. The report to show that okay, they were present, and to have a copy, and they have a copy.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day now, they have to count it to make sure that everything dies. Yes. But you see that our independent candidates, they lack the resources. They lack the relevant structures at the relevant positions in the country, right from the national to the subdivisional, to the villages, and to the polling stations. That's a serious problem for independent candidates. They lack the resources. Even the human resource. It's a serious issue.
Now, another issue, they keep saying that, oh, campaign social media. Solomon raised an issue that he has been in Boya for 4 days. They had light just per second. You are in Boya. The light is also obsolete. In Bamenda, it's even worse. When I went to Bamenda, it's even worse. There are areas where you never have electricity. How can they even succeed in online where the people don't have electricity to charge their phone?
Well, you know, with youth, honestly, if you want to get through the youth now, you use social media. There is no doubt about that.
And those who have voters IDs?
Oh, you know, that one now is a different ball game.
No, it's not a different
No,
ball
you
game.
start first. You get to them first.
Yes. It's not a. It's, I think we're missing the point.
We
here,
must.
Mr.
We
Javis.
must agree
Get
that
the point.
Let it
We
pass.
are no. I'm just. Please forgive me. But we are a few months to the election. It's not about getting to people. It's about people.
Okay.
That's all I want to say.
Yes.
you know, as an independent candidate, all you can do is what you can do. You cannot do above to get to potential voters. At the end of the day, whether they have the voters card or not, that one is their own problem, even though it will affect you either positively or negatively. But nobody can disagree that the social media is not the easiest tool to get to youth. I specify youth. I've not said all Cameroonians or all people. Youth. To easily get to youth, use the social media. TikTok, Facebook, WhatsApp, anybody will agree. Yes, and I even think that you can even hold your rally now, a public space.
Yes.
That's a real political gathering. That's a real. I'm not talking about holding a meeting in your house or in a private space. The law says that in order to hold a political meeting in a public space, you must have the authorization of the senior divisional officer. To get it is a serious problem, and that's one of the main problems that political parties they face. The actors, even me, I face that. Yes, despite being a registered political party, I was not given the relevant authorization to march last year, 20 May. They refused. So you see all these bottlenecks, all these issues, those are the problems that are keeping you see the opposition, the independent candidate. It's a real serious issue for them. The structure in place is not making things easier for them. Whether we like it or not, the playing field in Cameroon is not level.
Okay.
That's a fact that anybody who is current will attest to. The playing field for opposition and independent candidates is not level. That will be my final word.
Okay, happy Sunday, and to those in the studio on independent candidate, it is impossible to fulfill the conditions of 300 signatures yet party leaders keep deceiving us that they can stand for election. MRC in 2020 boycotted the election, stating eloquently that they know their actions will impede them from standing for the next presidential election as per electoral laws. Today, the same party has declared the intention to contest. Any party hoping to go as an independent candidate is a political. In 2020, 20 local elections party boycotted. How come they think they can win election? This is some Jeff writing from Manfe. This other one right is good afternoon, Javis and panelists. I am following you people from Loom. My okay, little mean I know where about. Okay, I don't know, I don't understand the message, but it's talking about where the whereabout of the Fabrice Lena, the former SG of PAP, something like that. That is
People.
yeah. this is good afternoon, Javis. Actually, this issue of voters card and voting itself is very complicated. When it concerns Cameroon, last presidential election, I happened to be at the Cameroon embassy in Berlin, Germany. I witnessed the process. The turnout of voters were not up to 100, but the final publication of voters results showed that more than 2,000 Cameroonians voted in Germany. For what I suspect and I know is that anyone who had anything to do with the Cameroon embassy, either marriage, passport, etc., has directly or indirectly voted for the civilian party. So voting in diaspora is a window decoration. Prince Fendi writing from Berlin. But Prince Fendi, if you actually voted, you were also supposed to be there for the counting, and you also have the right to see the signature and snap it. It's your right. Barrister, am I lying?
No, of course.
So these are the things that Cameroonians don't do, and they just vote and go. That's why accountability counts, because when they are signing, you have the right to snap the signature, they sign, and show everybody who is on ground that this is what, and that is an evidence which can be admitted in the court of law. You seemingly were, probably when he was talking about political delinquent of some of our opposition parties, you seemingly were not okay with that.
Well, it's not a matter of being okay or not being okay. That was his opinion, and I think it counts for him, you see. But what I would say is that as far as Cameroon as a whole is concerned, and Cameroonians when it comes to politics, it may sound very easy to, to want to castigate what we call political or opposition parties in Cameroon for maybe not doing what we think they ought to be doing, but maybe deliberately trying to ignore all the hurdles that they need to go through to also carry out their activities freely as we could expect to see them do. You see, from 2018 till now that we talk, if you go out there on the field, you will see political parties have been actively mobilizing Cameroonians to register on the electoral list. You have even civil society organizations have been doing the same thing. But the question is, how many Cameroonians are politically willing or mature enough to want to accept to go out there and just register on the electoral list? Is it the fault of the political parties? If I want to limit myself to my own political party, I want to think, if I take the Southwest, particularly, for instance, where we have a formidable team there with Mr. Collins Tamba. He has been on the field consecutively, at least for the past 1 year now, or should I say close to 2 years. But the question is, how many Cameroonians are willing out there to register? When you meet a young man who complains to you about the situation in the country, but at the same time he tells that he's apolitical, he doesn't want to have anything to do with politics, why will he even change? We already know the results. It's a whole health of problem, and I don't want to think it's a problem with the political parties. You know very well that I was here on Friday. On Friday, I'm just coming in. I'm late because I was in Boya yesterday, because we were empowering other young organs of the UFR, the union that is carrying Barrister Keremuna as candidate, to continue doing what they have been doing on the field. But like I say, it is not because the political parties are absent on ground. And secondly, we should understand certain things. Political parties in Cameroon cannot do certain things freely. He was just talking about getting authorizations. I want to bet that even in Yaoundé, when we seek authorization to meet, I mean in an enclosed environment, not even a public space that we're occupying, they still come there to want to trouble you. I mean in the private residence. So secondly, another thing with Cameroonians, the mentality is that, I don't know, maybe based on our educational system, Cameroonians have grown in a system where naturally they should, permit me say, they are not exposed to the idea that they are supposed to be engaged in the political life of their country. They feel like politics is something for a particular group of people. They feel like when we talk about opposition leaders, they have a certain standing army somewhere, or voters somewhere from another planet that we shall bring in to come and change. So Cameroonians value want the change, but do not want to participate. My brother spoke here and he cited Senegal. Let's tell Cameroonians in all honesty that Diomaye Faye and Sonko, when they were going out for their campaign in Senegal, Senegalese were paying to go into the different stadia to listen to them campaign, because they told the people, we do not have the means and we are going in for election to change the country for all of us. So Senegalese engaged because they knew the change was for them. But when you talk to a Cameroonian, sometimes it's like, for them to vote, they are rendering you a service.
Is that not why he talked about the fact that you must have something tangible and substantial? That if you have something tangible and substantial, you don't need to convince.
That is the political agenda we are talking about. That's the manifesto we are referring to here, right?
Yes.
I must tell you that if we come back, let me tell my candidate, Barrister Keremuna, from September to today, we have made the manifesto public. We have even gone back to the same manifesto. We tried to summarize it. We render it public. We cut portions of it and we sent out, I mean, on social media, like my brother was saying here, because we believe that through social media, we share in groups, we share everywhere for people to have access to it. But believe you me, I wonder how many are the number of Cameroonians who take the pains to read. Because each time you even talk with people, they still ask you, what do you people offer? They always ask that question. What do you offer? But do they actually take the pains to follow you on social media, on Facebook, where you have the following, to be able to read, to understand what you offer? Secondly, we are on platforms like this one. You give us the opportunity to sit on platforms, and when we come to talk about politics, we tell people that, okay, if you vote my candidate, for instance, we are talking about a one-term transition, where maybe we shall review the constitution of the country, for instance, maybe review the electoral code and give Cameroon a consensual code. We shall talk about maybe the fight against corruption, bringing back peace into the country in the 4 regions where we have all these things we have been telling Cameroonians. But like I say, the blame game is what Cameroonians prefer the most. People want change, do not want to be a part of the process, but feel like there is someone somewhere called opposition who needs to be the one to do everything for them.
That's why
and
you
then
now
they
agree with Solomon about this issue of lackadaisical nature of Cameroonians.
That is why I'm saying that it is easy to blame what we call opposition, but I want to think that the opposition parties are trying their best. It's true that in our context here, we have close to 400 political parties in Cameroon, and all the 400 are not opposition parties. A good number of them are satellite parties of the system in place. But the few who are out and intend to actually gain power, I want to think that they are out there on the field, they are doing the needful, but just that the terrain is not an easy one.
Mr. Gine,
yes.
I want to do a follow-up.
Yes.
Don't you think that these political parties also should be blamed for the low voter turnout? Because, for example, let's take the 2018 election as a case study. When the elections at the Constitutional Council, some parties were saying they won the election. Now, the issue is, they said they won the election. They asked them, do you have the 32 procès verbal to show that you actually won the election? They could not present it. Now they go there and tell Cameroonians in the Constitutional Council, we all watched it. Oh, voting in Cameroon is rigged. Oh, is this, is that. Oh, people are this, they are that. When parties start going and telling voters that there's a rigged system, the system is failing, the electoral code has not changed, so nothing can happen. Like in 2020, parties boycotted the election. That oh, is rigged. Is it not a green light to tell the people that just sit in your house, don't vote, because until this is changed, then we cannot go for election?
Tah
Don't they have part of this
Javis,
blame?
you cannot take the actions maybe of a particular political party and you want to
All
generalize
parties
it.
in the Constitutional Council talk about how the system is bad, the voting regulation, except we do not want
Mr.
to
Tah
say
Mai Javis, I still repeat, you will not take the actions of some particular political parties
Okay,
and
now,
generalize it to all political
Okay,
parties.
don't you think that some opposition
Good.
parties
When
are
we say some, in that
responsible
case-
for the low voter turnout in Cameroon?
No, I don't want to think we talk about the fact that a political party complains that there was rigging doesn't mean that there was a low turnout or that he's responsible for the low turnout. He did not ask people not to vote.
I'm saying discourage.
No, I don't want to think so. I sincerely will tell you that is not the reason for the low turnout. I have said we are coming back to 2025. He says something and I agree with him.
Let me put
I
it in
want to
context.
think that Cameroonians in 2025 after 92 are far more than ever before conscious as to the
Let me
fact
put
that
it in context.
let me just learn that they need change in this country in 2025. Cameroonians are conscious about that one. But the question is, how conscious can you be and expect the change when you deny to get a voter's card, knowing fully well that is the only real weapon you need to democratically bring about change in the
Mr.
country?
Gini, briefly, let me put it in context. In 1996,
Yes.
we had a major boycott of a very important election. We know that the most important election is the legislative and the municipal election, because that's where these are the people that controls the laws. The laws. In 2020, the argument that was given in 1996 was that the electoral code was bad. We were not going for election. And because of that, the ruling party swept the seats. In 2020, the electoral code were not amended, but they went now for subsequent election. But after you boycotted and telling people that you're not going for the election because electoral code is bad, and the next election is you going for the election without the same changing of that same electoral law. In 2020, the same scenario happened that a party, I'm just giving. Now, if a party can do this, is it not telling the people that don't just go and vote there? Does it not have an effect on turnout?
It has an effect on turnout, but the effect should be an effect where Cameroonians therefore judge by themselves to know exactly the person they should go for and the person they should not go for. It is not because A says, I will boycott, I will not do this, I will not do that, that Cameroonians should therefore think that because A has said so, we cannot go for B. That's the language I'm speaking. If A says he is not going to participate for whatsoever reason, I think we have B, C, and D candidates who are also available. But we cannot therefore mortgage our entire future, decide to boycott also as voters completely because particular people have said they are not going for the elections, and we therefore think that because they have said so, it means that all other candidates, if A did not go, at least there were other candidates that went in for. So I want to think here, Mr. Tah Javis, that I want to think that like some people will tell you that in a nutshell, what I'd rather think is that we Cameroonians, I mean the masses now, I think we deserve the leadership we have in this country for the past 43 years. Why? Simply because, listen, the power for people, the power for people to vote you into office or vote you out of office lies in the hands of the masses. We are talking about presidential elections in 2025. It has
in few months.
In 3 months. It has absolutely nothing to do with a political party, but it has something to do with a candidate and the agenda that he says to the people. And if the people can, by reason, or if the people can see into your project and they think that it is a win-win project for them, I think they can go for that candidate.
Okay.
But you cannot boycott elections totally and come back to justify that you never took part in elections because candidate A said she was not going for elections, candidate B said she was not going for it.
We'll come back to you. Briefly, let me just read this. This is a dash system. The opposition has been suffocated. You can't compare it with Senegal. Will an opposition even get authorization to hold such rallies like Senegal? Have these countries had a leader for more than a leader who owns okay, please, while you're sending us a message, be a bit Republican so that we can read them. This other one right, it says, good afternoon to you all in the house. I am Elad writing from Limbe. Please, Mr. Javis, I want to tell us all, this is very short and brief. No matter what system of opposition used to go to election, whether independent or not, the fact that some Cameroonians will never accept or believe is that nobody will win the ruling party. That's your opinion, eh? Okay, Elad. This other right, it says, good afternoon to everyone in the studio. On set, my sole question is, you talk about using social media to inform the youth, but to what extent can that be used for some of us without electricity in the suburbs? How do we know better about these elections and the contestants when we come online once in a blue moon? You wanted to react?
Yes.
Before, after him, I'll come to you for barrister.
I think the fact that some political parties have courage to urge the public to boycott elections, to me, it doesn't show maturity. I will explain. No Cameroonian has ever bothered to find out the cost to organize an election. Because if we begin from there, you will understand that it's needless spending that money and not allowing the citizens to exercise their right of franchise, which is enshrined in the Constitution. So I think our opposition party should gain some degree of maturity when it comes to letting people go and vote. You are not the ones organizing this election. There is an electoral body that organizes the election with taxpayers' money. Please let me learn. Let me learn. Let me learn.
Okay, some. Okay,
Yeah,
some.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not generalize things.
Okay,
Yeah,
some.
thank you.
Some.
Yeah, so I think that some opposition parties who have been engaged with such practices should stop, because the the body in charge of election, uses a lot of taxpayers' money to organize these elections. This is our money. And a party cannot just wake up one morning, a party, and say, no, don't go and vote, boycott this election. And, that to me is not responsible. Secondly, I think when it comes to the opposition, the challenge they are facing so far, very few of them, let me just say none, because I follow some of their manifesto. Very few of them have demonstrated mastery of economy. Because I sat with some of them, I asked a question: what are the key pointers that you think, if we earmark on, it will project our economy to where a trajectory of increment? Because it's like we are in a trajectory. I don't know if it's flat or it's going down, but by virtue of all the indicators that we're seeing, it's like the economy is going down, because see prices keep going up, inflation is the order of the day. Yeah, so yeah, I've asked to some of these opposition parties, I observed that mastery isn't there, and we have given some of those pointers here. I said one time that many countries that have evolved, they started with a sector. If we take the case of Dubai discovered petrol. When they were exploiting the petrol, they invested in tourism, because they knew that as they're exploiting the petrol, is getting finished, they needed something more. And in tourism, they start looking at sectors like hotels and hospitals. I think parks. They have one of the best now in the world. So their kickstarting point was petrol. If you take a country like India was in poverty for a very long time. But when internet came, India held internet so strong. And today, I think when we look at the international organizations like Google, Facebook, and the rest,
Even medical.
and America, yeah, they are the top. So they are even exporting human resource out to help America, who brought in internet. So I think what is killing us in Cameroon, I don't know if it's that we want to be in a position of power for power, or we really know what we are getting into. Especially now, to me, it's going to be more challenging. This next term is going to be more challenging for whoever will be in the position, because we are already faced with multifaceted technological fragments. We have AI. We have the digital currency coming in very strong. We have fintech coming in very strong, where you can come in, make purchase, and go out. So all of those things are not, if not well regulated, can instead bring in more inflation. So I believe that oppositions not just get excited. They need some experts to work with them meticulously. So even if they win, it should not take them by surprise, and all the goodwill they have now turn into bad will, because they did not really understand what they were getting into. I think to me that's a very strong call that our leaders should look at.
You wanted to react to
No, I was going to say.
yes.
I was going to say that the opposition will not win because they are not serious.
Some
Please
All
say some.
oppositions will not win. That is his opinion. I'm stating mine. They will not win because they are not serious. Okay, this political delinquency that they are practicing, they will not win. It's yeah. Thank you. I'm happy you asked because those are the kind of questions that I want to hear. Okay, what I'm saying is this: nobody wins an election, Javis, on election year. Nobody. And do you know what I hear every time from opposition political parties? The very things, the very reasons why they cannot win. If you hear them speak, you are civil society. All they tell you is everything that is wrong with the political system, existing political system,
Not the agenda.
to why they cannot do anything. So why are you wasting our time? If you have roadblocks, obstacles that are stopping you from doing anything, as a result you are being ineffective, why are you wasting our time? You're literally wasting the time of Cameroonians because all we hear is what is wrong with the electoral system. Well, the government is this. You have to take permission for this. You have to take permission. Have you not heard the adage that says that if monkeys learn how to jump without stopping, that hunters learn how to shoot without stopping? Huh? Perching, hunters learn how to shoot without stopping, without missing. Have we not heard that? But unfortunately, I mean, Cameroonian opposition politicians are not good on that.
Because it's just what you're saying. Last year, we expected them to be inundating the social media effectively. But see, now it's now that most of them are getting an election.
I mean, they want to win an election on,
Election year.
On election year. Because that's what it is. They want to win election on election year. There is something called political education. Most Cameroonians are politically illiterate. Okay, let's just say the truth. They don't know what the constitution is. They don't know anything about the electoral system. They don't know anything. How about this? Let's talk. Okay, Larrys are not going to work. But how about small cells to teach people even about the constitution? What is it that is the role of a senior divisional officer, of a mayor in the city? When people are educated, see, John C. Maxwell said that when people make a change, there are 4 things that inspire them to change. Number 1, that they are inspired enough to change. So there's somebody that brings inspiration. They look at someone and they are inspired, like what happened in Senegal with Juman Faye. They inspire them. Number 2, that they learn enough to change, that they are informed to change. Apparently, Cameroonians are not inspired by any opposition political party. Number 2, they are not informed.
Some Cameroonians.
Please.
Because we cannot. Why you say Cameroonians?
Why you say Cameroonians means majority?
Let me say Cameroonians, because guess what? We complain about the system. The system is not changing for over 32 years.
But we still have those who are voting, eh?
Yes.
Like we are watching
it is insignificant, Javis.
Yeah, but it's also good to
out of 30 million people, if 3 million people vote, nobody voted. Let's just say this and stop playing with Cameroon.
Because the opposition has 14%, eh? The main opposition party.
How many people who voted? How many percentage of Cameroonians voted? 3 million out of 30 million. What is the percentage? And then now we go to the 14% of that percentage.
Okay,
that's what we're talking about here, right? The third thing is that when people suffer enough, they change. Apparently, Cameroonians have not suffered enough. They have not suffered enough. No, I know so. Because if they they have not suffered enough. If Cameroonians have suffered enough,
they get the voters
card. They will get the voters ID card and vote.
They will come out massively.
Yes. Politicians and opposition political parties will not be begging them to join rallies.
They will see
the need to do it because there is nothing. Everything rise. I mean, to the telespectators who are watching us, I have to say this very clearly. Everything in a nation rise and falls with politics. There's nothing that will change in a country without the politicians being involved. Nothing. Okay. And so, if Cameroonians think that manners will fall from heaven and angels will come, it will not happen. And if the opposition political parties have not inspired Cameroonians enough, have not taught Cameroonians enough for the past 32 years, can we also say that they have failed? And instead of complaining every day to why the roadblocks to their success, there's a book called The Obstacle is the Way. Maybe Cameroonian opposition political parties should read that book.
The Obstacle is the Way.
The Obstacle is the Way. It's the book that we are learning right now in my organization, the leadership think tank. The obstacle is the way. How do you turn obstacle to opportunities?
Why do we keep talking about what will not work, what will not work, what will not work? This is the reason we cannot hold. You have to take permission. So what? We're going to stay like this for 70 years, 100 years, because there are all the roadblocks there? That's the question.
Okay. Let me read this message before coming to you. The law. This one says, good afternoon, everyone. I am Joseph from Pamenda. The main problem in Cameroon is not how many that vote is in the system, but Mr. Biya put in place, like example, the president of Elecam appointed by Mr. Biya. What means is that he can never go against the person that appointed him, blah, blah, blah. Let me just take time to just briefly. The Constitutional Council was appointed by Macky Sall in Senegal, but
Yes.
they rule against Macky Sall.
Thank you.
In 2015, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan put in the INEC chairman.
Thank you.
Goodluck Ebele Jonathan lost the election and was pronounced, Buhari was pronounced the winner of the election by an appointed person of an incumbent. Right. It means that was a system. In 2017, in Kenya, you had President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga.
Yes.
When they went to the election, the IECBC, the Independent Electoral Boundary Commission of Kenya, said Uhuru Kenyatta, the incumbent, has won. But they went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court justices were appointed by the incumbent. The Supreme Court justices nullified the election. That was the first election to be nullified in the history of Africa. And nullified by someone appointed by the incumbent. So this shenanigans of saying that, who appoint, there is no country in the world where electoral commission are not being appointed by the government in place, except like Solomon say, one angels to come from above. We are cultural entropy, doing one and the same thing over and over and expecting this different result. The law, we wanted to react on some of the things that was in it.
Okay, like he ended, he mentioned, he cited that book, The Obstacle.
Is the way.
Yes. Whether you like it or not, there are some obstacles that you cannot overcome. It's a reality in life, irrespective of what all those good books will tell you. There are obstacles that you cannot overcome. Okay, see the case of Cameroon. Let's just be realistic. Why is it that only opposition militants they face arrest, detention? Have you ever seen any CPD militant facing arrest, detention? We must face our reality.
What of Inoni?
No, it was not under the umbrella of politics. That Inoni is.
What is the unit of analysis that we can draw to know that it was not under the unit of? Because they say that it was politically motivated. All of them in the Kundengi, they're saying that it was politically. Marafa Midu, yeah, all of them are saying politically motivated. You are a legal person.
Good, as a legal person, they took them to court, found them guilty
of corruption,
not based on political issues. So let's look at what the facts the court they presented. You get it? So cite me any one CPT militant who has gone to jail because of his activities as a CPT militant. You cannot cite me one. All of us here, we are very current. So when we say that opposition parties, opposition militants, they have serious challenges here in Cameroon, the challenges are there. Yes, but it doesn't mean that we cannot overcome. We can overcome. Nobody can say that the CPDM party will rule Cameroon forever. Life not turn by turn. Whether you like it or not. And nobody can say that Pobia will rule Cameroon forever. Nobody.
So make we know the 2 day buka?
No.
Life at 10 by 10.
Apparently that's what we should wait for him to leave.
That's not what I'm saying.
That's what he's
No. That's not. I'm trying to.
Buka. Humble yourself. Nobody knows tomorrow.
I'm trying to come to you. You should understand the sensitivity because the time will come when an opposition party in Cameroon will take over power, whether we like it or not.
Natural selection.
We don't know when.
To die.
We don't know when.
Or what? Yeah,
But nobody has said that if it's that automatically becomes an opposition. I don't know why you are
No, let him land.
No,
please.
I think from what he's saying,
nobody's
wishing.
Nobody's wishing the president dead.
No, that's not what we're saying.
No, for clarity, for those watching.
Maybe let me clarify. President Pobia is the president of Cameroon. Whether we like it or not, he's the constitutional president. We owe him that respect. Now, talking politics, we must agree to the realities and the future. He will not be there forever. The time will come when opposition parties will be in power, then the CPDM also will be aside. That time, they will start facing the problems that the opposition parties are facing now. But even though by then things will have evolved, you get it. But opposition parties, they are doing a lot for this country, and they are paying the price. Like you saw how President Maurice Kamto, I'm not a militant of MRC. I'm just being realistic. You saw how he went to prison, he came out. other of his supporters, they were shot and all that. It's not easy. It's as a result of politics. Their lives are on the line. But can you say clearly that CPDM militants, they have that same fear over their heads? You cannot just the fact
like to go to the northwest and southwest.
No, as government people, you can say as government people.
Some of their militant destroy people's properties in the south and around Bacha and other areas, and nothing happened.
So CPDM is not here to defend themselves. Please, let's just get this clarity. CPDM is not here to defend themselves.
No,
I don't understand. We don't have them here. No, it's not. They are not here to defend themselves. Let's not throw shit. Yes.
Maybe I think
let's come back to context. Yes, let's come back to context. They are not here to defend themselves. Yes,
let's come to our issue of independent candidates. Yeah, like I keep saying, nothing is possible under the sun. But there's one thing about independent candidates that I think I must say it here. To me, the way I see independent candidates, they are somehow selfish, self-centered, and egoistic. Because as an independent candidate, the focus is only on you. Now, don't forget, in politics and the political process and engagement, your supporters are also out there to benefit. So now, as an independent candidate, when you have your supporters, they come, let's say they vote for you, you are now president. How will they now benefit? Like for instance, some of your supporters may want to be municipal councillors, they want to be mayors, MPs. They now will use which political platform? Because you must use a political platform to be a mayor, a municipal councillor, a senator. You must use a political platform. You cannot go as an independent candidate. It will be difficult. You get it? So you see now that independent candidates, they focus only on themselves. They don't focus on their militants, whether you like it or not. Because it's more profitable in politics, knowing that you are supporting this person to be the national president, while indirectly also, you can be the mayor or municipal councillor, senator, parliamentarian. You cannot come out, you are participating in the political process, you vote for the president, but you stay away, whereas you have the potential to hold another political office. How will you pass? You must use a political platform. So that's why I advise, I'm talking with some of them, I advise independent candidates, even in Rwanda also, I spoke to some in Rwanda, use a political platform. When it comes to political affairs, the best umbrella is a political party, whether we like it or not. And people should not underestimate opposition parties, new political parties that are coming up.
Their party, what is the vision, briefly?
Well, coming to my party, like I was saying before, I said people should not underestimate new political parties that are coming up, because Rome was not built in a day. You must start somewhere. Like me, I created a party last year. I believe in political engagement. The problem with Cameroonians is that they spend their time talking, criticizing, but let's keep aside voting, having voters card. Just ask one question. What step, what move have you made to see that Cameroon is better? What action? It must not be political. Even civil society, NGOs do a lot. What are you doing to make Cameroon a better place? So when I look at it, I see that we are practicing, as per the constitution, Cameroon is a democratic country. But you don't see real democracy in Cameroon. You don't see real democracy, and that's why I named the party True Democratic Party of Cameroon. Because we are out there to practice real democracy, where there is respect for the rule of law, and for opposition, and for criticism. Because a real leader is the one who allows people to insult him, criticize him, because through that, you see
respectfully.
See, there's one thing in the law of thought. When you insult, you criticize a leader, a political leader, we call it fair comment. Okay, for instance, the president may tar a particular road. All of us know that it's a good project. Some people will insult him for tarring that road. As human beings, we agree to that. So you as a leader, a good leader must understand that no matter what he does, people will insult him, criticize him. You take it like that. And that's one of the key principles of democracy. Because you are subordinate, Your closest allies, your followers can never criticize you. You all will agree with that. They will never criticize you. Take, for instance, the case of President Paul Biya. You think his ministers can criticize him? They cannot. But as a true leader, you must welcome criticism.
Okay.
And when you have people beside you who cannot criticize you, it's a problem.
Okay. We are seemingly almost out of time. Tah Javis, Popular Action Party Secretary General, what should be the way forward for the 2025 presidential election in terms of engaging voters?
In terms of engaging voters, what I would simply ask for is that opinion holders, civil society, and Cameroonians as a whole, we all synergize our efforts and continue to encourage every single Cameroonian, from family to our neighborhood to our various communities, to ensure that everybody has a voter's card, because like we have mentioned, all agreed upon on this platform, whether we like it or not, that is the bullet, that is the gun, that's the weapon that we need for change to come into this country, the ballot, you see. And you cannot go for the ballot if you do not have your voter's card. So if I am talking about the way forward, I want to think as far as 2025 is concerned, the first thing is that Cameroonians should first of all endeavor to have their voter's card, irrespective of the different manifestos that the different candidates may present. No matter how good they may be, if you do not have your voter's card to participate, then the manifestos are null and void, because at the end of the day, things will not happen the way we would have loved that they should happen, and at the end of the day, we shall see all be complaining bitterly for the next 7 years as to the way the trend of life is moving in this country. So I want to think Cameroonians must sit up, and I think I agree with my brother to my right on one thing he said, and that's what I was telling some of our comrades and militants down there in the southwest yesterday, that this thing, we are not rendering someone a service, we are not rendering someone a favor by going out there to vote for a particular person. We are voting for change for the country, and the change is for all of us. So we should not behave as though we think that if you are going out in 2025 to vote for a particular candidate of a choice, it is because you want to render that particular candidate a certain favor or just. No, the vote is for you, the vote is for your future, the vote is for your children, the vote is for the nation. That is what we need to bear at the back of the mind, and that's why I was insisting on the fact that what. Pardon? It's not for sardine and bread. That is it. If someone feels that you can go accept 1,000 francs and throw your ballot to someone else who doesn't deserve it, and then wait for the next 7 years for another bread and sardine, it's good. It's up to that person, you see. But I want to think that we have spoken lengthily and enough for to Cameroonians to understand. And like he rightly said here, if people think that they have not suffered enough to cause or catalyze change in this country, then good and fine. So 2025, I will still want to think that for those of us who are from the UFR, I want to think our agenda is simple. We are going for one term of office, one transitional mandate, you see, a mandate during which, like I earlier mentioned already, we believe that we can propose to Cameroonians a new constitution, we can propose a new electoral code, you see, we can lay emphasis on the fight against corruption, because that's also one thing that has seriously gangrened this country, corruption. And I want to think that when all these things have been put in place, like the candidate Barrister Cameroon says, he organizes free and fair elections after a period of 5 years, and then Cameroonians can now at that time, under that new code and with the fairness, vote into office a new president that will take over management from there while he steps down.
Thank you for coming, Solomon. We're out of time.
Yes, again, we are out of time. So what I have to say is that 2025, political parties should not even go talk to Cameroonians. When they suffer enough, they'll vote. All right? I mean, there's no sense of going out telling people what they already know. They see the roads, they see the schools. But the reason why they are not engaged is because the government is doing a very good job. Because if the government was not doing a good job, it's not the political parties that go talk to the people. The people come to talk to political parties. So,
Thank you very much.
I agree very much with Mr. Solomon, because there's a popular saying that the leadership of a people is a reflection of that people. Thank you. So when the anger will really be there and we will come out in numbers and we'll vote. That's the reality. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, the law, for coming, the president of the True Democratic Party.
You're welcome. The government, we know that the government are doing their best also, but their best is not yet enough. They should step up and do better. Cameroonians are expecting much from them. They are the ones occupying positions of power now. Delay is better, yes, but they can still change. We are hoping for the best, but above all, they should sort out the issue, solve the Anglophone crisis.
So I remind them like 10 by 10.
But whether I like it or not, now it's their turn. Now it's their
I
turn.
don't know what the turn of the opposition political party is.
Okay,
Of
thank
course.
you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen. This program will be rebroadcast on today, 10:30 p.m. You have a rebroadcast of this program. It will be also on our YouTube channel immediately after the program comes to an end. All those of you participating on Facebook, thank you for your contribution. I want to wish a happy birthday to you, Miriam. Miriam, a very good friend from the Choir Negro Spiritual. Happy birthday to you. And all those of you celebrating your birthday this month, happy birthday to you. And if you want to be a panelist to this program, you can contact us on the number on your screen. You contact us, we'll put you into the WhatsApp group, and we'll include your name. To those of you who sent us offensive messages, that was why some of the messages were not read. And please, if you are sending us a message, also do well to at least be within the Republican spirit. And also those whom I was unable to read their message, I'm sorry because of time constraint. I'll leave you with this: no matter the matter, what matters is your matter. And what should matter for you is that you should go and get your voter's card. As Solomon said, the government is doing a very good job, because if not, a lot of people would have registered. My name is Tah Javis Mai, Cameroon's commercial capital dweller. Until we meet again, stay out of trouble. Bye-bye.